My daughter said my bedroom was better used as storage. I stayed silent, but only for a moment. I wish I could tell you I laughed it off, that I made some clever joke and we both moved on. But the truth is, in that instant, I felt something crack, quietly inside my chest. Not loudly, not dramatically, just a thin, almost invisible line of hurt spreading through a heart that had already survived so many little fractures over the years. She had no idea what she had just touched. She thought she was talking about a room. I knew she was talking about my place in this house and in her life. And she didn't know I already had a plan. My name is Elena. I'm 63 years old. I've been a widow for 8 years, and for the last 3, I've been living with my daughter, her husband, and my 2 grandchildren in their home. People say a full house is a blessing. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's noise and chaos and laughter and sticky fingers on clean glass. Sometimes, though, it's a reminder that there's no real corner of the world that is just yours anymore. Just a quiet little island where you can close the door, exhale, and remember who you used to be before everybody needed you every second. For me, that island was my bedroom. It wasn't very big. A bed, a wardrobe, a nightstand with a chipped lamp, photos on the wall that only meant something to me, my late husband Luis grinning with his arm around me at the beach, my daughter Sarah as a baby, cheeks like little peaches, eyes squeezed shut, a cross-stitch my mother had made that said, "Home is where they remember your stories." I used to touch that cross-stitch every night before turning off the light. It was silly maybe, but it reminded me I was still a person with a history, not just grandma or mom, or could you pick up the kids, or can you watch them today? So when Sarah walked into my room that Tuesday afternoon, arms folded, lips pressed tight, and said, "Mom, we need to talk about your room," I didn't know that my heart was about to be tested in a way it hadn't been since the day I buried Luis. "Your room," I repeated gently, sitting on the edge of my bed. She stayed standing near the door, as if afraid to step inside. I felt that too. Sometimes our adult children talk to us like they're the landlords of our lives, as if every word might be a negotiation of space. "Yes," she said, clearing her throat. "The room, this room." She gestured around, her eyes scanning my things, but not really seeing them. The framed photos, the old dresser, the little wooden jewellery box Luis gave me on our 20th anniversary, the one I still kept his wedding ring in. "You know we've been talking," she went on. "Carlos and I, the kids are growing. We're running out of space. We really need a place to put some things. A storage room." I stared at her. The word storage hovered in the air between us like a bad smell. "Storage," I repeated, my voice calm, because I had learned long ago that if I let my voice shake, people only heard the tremor, not the meaning. She nodded, a little too quickly. "Yes, storage, boxes, seasonal clothes, toys they don't use but we want to keep, decorations, that kind of stuff. And you thought, I said quietly, that my bedroom was better used as storage. She winced a little at hearing her own phrase reflected back. "Mum, don't say it like that," she muttered. "It's just, practically speaking, it makes sense. You're here most of the day, but at night the kids are up and down, and we could move you to the smaller room downstairs next to the laundry. We can put a single bed there. It will be more efficient. Efficient. As if I were a box to be rearranged. As if my memories could be stacked on a shelf and labelled miscellaneous. Inside, something flared up. Not rage. Not yet. It was more like a deep, heavy sadness covered in dust, like opening an old trunk you haven't touched in years and realizing everything you loved inside has been forgotten. But on the outside, I stayed very still. "Is this something you've decided?" I asked. "Or something you're asking?" Her eyes flickered away. "Mom, please, don't make this difficult." There it was. That sentence. The one adult children use when what they really mean is, "I've already decided, I just want you to agree so I don't feel guilty." I inhaled slowly. "No," I said softly. "I won't make it difficult." She let out a breath of relief. "Thank you," she said. "I knew you'd understand. We were thinking maybe this weekend we could start moving your things. But I also won't answer you right now," I continued, cutting in gently. She blinked, surprised. "Mom, I've heard you," I said. "I understand what you're asking. I need time to think." "There's nothing to think about," she insisted. "It's just a change of rooms. This one is bigger, and it doesn't make sense." "It does to me," I said. My voice wasn't loud, but it had a firmness that made her take a small step back. "Mom, please, don't take this personally." "How else should I take it, Sarah?" I asked. "You're talking about my bedroom, my space, my things, my photographs, my nights, my privacy. If it's not personal, what is it?" She went quiet then. For a second I saw the little girl in her, the one whose scraped knees I used to kiss, whose hair I used to braid, the one who used to crawl into my bed at night when she had nightmares and press her cold feet against my legs. But just as quickly the grown woman came back, tired, stressed, stretched thin by life and bills and homework and a marriage and too many responsibilities. "We'll talk later," she said at last. Her tone clipped. "Just don't be upset, okay? We're just trying to make things work. You're not being kicked out." Not yet, I thought. But I didn't say it. She walked out and closed the door behind her. For a long time I didn't move. My bedroom felt different after that conversation. The walls knew. The bed knew. Even the faded curtains seemed to sag a little as if they understood that they had just been demoted from guarding someone's rest to covering a pile of boxes. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the cross-stitched phrase on the wall. "Home is where they remember your stories." I almost laughed. Did they remember? Or did they just store them, like old Christmas ornaments in a box marked "Stuff from Mom"? I closed my eyes. I remembered another room, a much smaller one, painted pale green, in a tiny apartment Luis and I rented when Sarah was 3 years old. We had almost nothing: a mattress on the floor, a table with one wobbly leg, second-hand chairs, but that little room had felt like a kingdom because it was ours. No one could tell us to move. No one could decide our things were better used as storage. When Luis died, the house we had shared suddenly felt like a museum of pain. I sold it because every corner hurt. Every drawer was full of ghosts. When Sarah offered me a room in her home, I was grateful. Truly. I told her I would contribute what I could, help with the kids, cook, clean, be useful. Useful. The word stuck now, sharp in my mind. When you are a woman past 45, useful becomes a fragile currency. People are happy you're there as long as you're useful, as long as you babysit, cook, iron, stay quiet, don't take up too much space, don't have too many opinions, don't need too many things. But the moment you stop being useful in the way they expect, they start looking at your life the way my daughter was looking at my bedroom. Better used as storage. I opened my eyes and almost said it aloud. I am not a closet. That was the first clear thought that pushed through the fog in my head. The second was quieter, gentler, but just as firm. You have more power than you think, Elena. And the third one, the one that carried the taste of something old and strong, like coffee made in a steel pot. You need a plan. It would have been so easy to scream at her, to throw accusations, to guilt trip, to remind her of all the sacrifices I had made, the nights I stayed up with fevers, the years I worked double shifts so she could go to a decent school. But I knew something. When you shout, people hear the noise, not the message. I didn't want revenge. I wanted respect. And sometimes respect isn't begged for. It's earned again, not because you lost it, but because you stopped showing people where your limits are. So I did something very simple. I got up, walked over to my old wooden wardrobe, and opened the bottom drawer. Tucked under some folded scarves was a folder. I pulled it out and sat back on the bed, the paper soft and worn under my fingers. Inside were copies of documents I had kept more out of habit than reason. My bank statements, my pension deposit slips, the deed to a small piece of land by the river that Luis and I had bought many years ago, when we used to dream of building a little cabin to grow old in. We never managed to build the cabin. Life happened. Bills, sickness, college for Sarah. But the land was still there. So was the quiet little savings account I had kept for years, dropping in whatever I could, $15 here, $50 there, a birthday gift I hadn't used, a small inheritance from my aunt. It wasn't a fortune, but it was enough for something. And for the first time in a long time, as I spread the papers on my bed, I didn't feel like a guest in my own life. I felt like the owner of it. But what happened next was something my daughter never expected, because the next move was mine. That night, at dinner, I didn't say a word about the room. I served everyone. I refilled glasses. I laughed at my grandson's silly joke about his math teacher. I listened to my granddaughter explain the drama with her friend at school. Sarah kept glancing at me, her eyebrows knitting together whenever our eyes met. She was waiting for me to make it difficult, to sulk, to complain, to play the victim. But I didn't. I was polite, gentle, present. The thing about being a mother is that your children forget you were someone before them. But you don't. Not really. There's a part of you that remains untouched, patient, waiting for you to turn back and say, "I remember you, I'm coming back." After dinner, I kissed the children good night, thanked Carlos for the meal, and went to my room. I closed the door, sat at my small desk, and pulled out a notebook. At the top of a blank page, I wrote, "Plan." Then, under it, Step 1. Remember my own value. It might sound silly, but sometimes we need to write things down so our hands help our heart believe them. I started listing things I had done in the last 3 years. Help with the kids' homework every day, take them to and from school, cook most meals, clean the kitchen, bathroom, living room, stay with the kids when they're sick so Sarah doesn't miss work, manage the house expenses when Sarah asks, iron clothes, listen to everyone's problems, be available, always available. When I finished, I stared at the list. If I weren't here, how much would they have to pay someone to do all of this? How much of their lives would become harder, heavier, more complicated? I wasn't storage. I was infrastructure, and yet I'd allowed myself to be treated like extra luggage, nice to have, but ultimately movable if space was needed. Step 2. Decide my line. What was non-negotiable? I knew the answer immediately. Having a room that was truly mine, a door I could close, walls that held my memories, not their boxes. It did not have to be this room, but it had to be something worthy of the life I had lived, not a corner next to a washing machine, not an afterthought. Step 3. Speak with calm, not with fear. And finally, Step 4. Be ready to leave if they don't respect my line. My hand trembled when I wrote that last part. Let's be honest, Starting over at 63 is not easy. It's scary, it's exhausting, it feels unfair. But there is something far more terrifying than starting over, staying where you are, not respected. I put the pen down and closed the notebook. Then I opened my phone and did something I hadn't done in years. I searched online for small rentals near river and rooms for senior women and community housing for retirees, and even how to build a tiny house on your land. Every click felt like a tiny rebellion, a whisper to myself, you are not trapped. There are options. You still get to choose. I fell asleep that night with fear in my stomach and a strange, fragile excitement in my chest. The next morning, Sarah knocked on my door. I was already dressed, sitting up in bed with my notebook on my lap. Come in, I said. She poked her head in, looking hesitant. Hey, Mom, she said. Can we talk? Yes, I replied. Close the door, please. She did, then came to sit at the edge of the bed, just like I had done the day before. I didn't sleep well, she confessed. I kept thinking about what I said. Maybe I sounded harsh. I said nothing. Sometimes silence is the only mirror people are willing to look into. It's just, we're overwhelmed, she went on. The kids, the bills, everything, and then the house. There's stuff everywhere. We thought if we had a proper storage room, we could breathe a little. I understand, I said. Truly, I do. She looked at me, surprised by how calm I sounded. I'm not angry with you, I continued, but I am hurt. Her eyes softened. I didn't mean to hurt you, Mom. I know, I said, but you did, and the hurt is real even if the intention wasn't. She swallowed. I'm sorry, she whispered. I nodded slowly. Thank you for saying that. Now let's talk like two adults, not like the mother who always gives in, and the daughter who always assumes she will. She blinked, caught off guard. Oh, Kay, she said. I pointed gently to the walls of my room. What do you see? She frowned, glancing around. Your things, she said. Your photos. Your bed. These are not just objects, I said. They are pieces of my life, the life I had before I moved here, the life with your father, the life where I was not someone's extra, but someone's partner, someone's home. She lowered her eyes. When you say this room would be better used as storage, I continued, what I hear is that my past, my rest, my privacy are less important than your boxes, that my presence is negotiable, that I am flexible space. She flinched. I didn't mean it like that, Mom, she repeated. I believe you, I said, but this isn't just about what you meant. It's about what I'm allowing, and I realized something last night. I have been so grateful to be here, so eager not to be a burden, that I forgot I have the right to dignity, not as your mother, but as a woman. She was quiet now, truly listening. So here is my answer to your request, I said calmly. No. Her head snapped up. No, she echoed. No, I repeated. I will not turn my bedroom into a storage room. I will not move next to the laundry. I will not sleep in a corner of this house like something you didn't know where else to place. Her eyes filled with tears. Mum, that's not what we meant. But that is what it would feel like, I said. To me, and my feelings matter too. She was breathing faster now, the way she did when she felt cornered. What are we supposed to do then? She demanded. We're drowning in stuff, Mom. You don't understand what it's like to raise kids today. It's chaos. It's expensive. We're just trying to get some control. I do understand, I said gently. I raised you, remember? Times were different, but struggle always feels the same. The point is not that you have needs. The point is that you tried to solve them by shrinking me. Her lips trembled. So you'd rather we drown in clutter? She asked bitterly. No, I said, shaking my head. I'd rather we think creatively together. I'd rather you see me as part of the solution, not as a piece of furniture to be moved. She stared at me, and then, very softly, she asked the question she had been too proud to ask before. What do you suggest then? This was the moment my plan began to reveal itself, because what happened next was something even I didn't fully expect, but my heart had been preparing for it for years. I suggest, I said, that we look at all our options, not just the ones that cost me my dignity. She frowned. What options? I reached for my notebook on the bed and opened it to the page from last night. I made a list, I said, of everything I do here, every way I contribute. She read it, her eyes scanning the page. I watched her face change, gradually. Surprise, guilt, realization. I didn't, she began, then stopped. I mean, I knew you did a lot. I hadn't seen it all together like this. That's normal, I said. People only notice the chair when it breaks, not every time they sit on it. She let out a breath that was half laugh, half sob. Mum, I'm not showing you this to make you feel guilty, I continued. I'm showing it to make something very clear. I am not a guest here. I am a pillar. Maybe not a financial one, but an emotional and practical one. This house stands on many invisible things I do, quietly every day. Tears spilled down her cheeks now. I know, she whispered. I'm so sorry I made you feel like you were optional. I squeezed her hand. I forgive you, I said, because I also allowed it. I kept saying yes. I kept shrinking so you could expand. That's what mothers do. But maybe there comes a time when a mother has to stop shrinking so her daughter can learn to stand on her own. For a moment she looked like she might argue, but then her shoulders sagged. What if we really can't find another solution? She asked, voice small. What if the house really is too small? Then we have to be honest about that, I said. With each other, completely honest. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. What do you mean? I took a breath. I mean that I started thinking last night. I said slowly, about other possibilities. For me, for you, for all of us. She tensed. What kind of possibilities? Possibilities where I have my own space, I said. Not just a room. Someone can claim when they need more shelves. A space that is mine with my key, my decisions, and where I help you because I choose to, not because I depend on you for a roof. Her face paled. You're talking about moving out, she whispered. I'm talking about considering it, I replied, about recognizing that I am not trapped, that I still have choices, that I own a piece of land, I have a small savings, I have a tiny pension. It won't buy me a mansion, but it can buy me a room of my own, even if that room is small, even if it's simple. Her eyes filled with a different kind of panic now. Mom, you can't just leave, she cried. The kids, they need you. I need you. I nodded. And I love being here for them, I said. But love given from a place of fear is not love. It's dependency. I don't want you to love me because you need someone to do the chores. I want you to love me because I am your mother, because you respect me, because you see me. Her lips trembled again. I do see you, she said, weakly. Then prove it, I replied softly, not with words, with choices. She covered her face with her hands. This is not what I wanted, she muttered. I just wanted a clean house. And I just wanted a room where my memories weren't competing with cardboard boxes, I said. For a moment, we both sat there, breathing heavily, each of us facing the uncomfortable truth. We had both been pretending. She had pretended I was endlessly flexible. I had pretended I was endlessly okay with it. Now, the pretending was over. The next few days were strange. We didn't talk about the room again, not directly. But there was a new tension in the house, not the explosive kind, more like the quiet pressure in the air before it rains. I heard Sarah and Carlos whispering at night in their bedroom, voices rising, then falling. I pretended not to notice. I kept doing my usual tasks, taking the kids to school, cooking, tidying, but I also did something new. Every day I spent an hour at the kitchen table with my paperwork spread out, bank statements, pension details, land deed, phone numbers of rental agencies. I didn't hide it. I let them see. I wasn't threatening. I was simply visible. And that visibility was my silent rehook, my constant reminder to them. But what happens next depends on how you treat me. One afternoon, as I was circling a listing for a small studio apartment near the park, my granddaughter, Sophia, sat down beside me. "Grandma, what are you doing?" she asked, swinging her legs. "Looking at options," I said. "Options for what?" I smiled. "For where I might live someday." She frowned. "Here," she said. "You live here." For now, I replied gently. Her little face crumpled. Are you leaving? She whispered. Children always cut through the noise, straight to the heart of things. I stroked her hair. I don't know yet, I said honestly. Sometimes when grown-ups have big decisions to make, they have to look at all the possibilities before choosing. I don't want you to go, she said, tears welling. Who will read to me at night? Who will make me soup when I'm sick? I hugged her tightly. Your mama will, I said. Your papa will, and I will always love you, no matter where my bed is. She sniffled. Is this because of the boxes? She asked. I blinked. What boxes? The ones Mum said she was going to put in your room, she said softly. I heard her tell Dad. Ah, so little ears had heard more than we thought. What do you think about that? I asked. She hesitated, then whispered, I don't like it. It's your room. It smells like you. It has your pictures. If they fill it with boxes, where will your stories go? Out of the mouths of babes. I swallowed the lump in my throat. Exactly, I murmured. That night, after the kids were in bed, Sarah came to my room again. She didn't knock this time. She just slipped in quietly and closed the door behind her, leaning against it as if she needed it to hold her up. I can't sleep, she said. I put my book down. What's on your mind? I asked, though I already knew. She wiped at her eyes. Sophia asked me if you're leaving, she said. She was crying. My heart squeezed. What did you tell her? I asked. That you're not, she said, voice breaking. But I don't know if that's true. Do I? I patted the bed beside me. Come sit, I said. She came over and sat the same way she did when she was a teenager and wanted to talk about problems I couldn't fix but could at least listen to. I talked to Carlos, she said. We argued a lot. He thinks I was insensitive with you. I raised an eyebrow. Do you agree? I asked. She nodded, shame flooding her face. Yes, she whispered. I was thinking like a stressed-out homeowner, not like a daughter. I saw square meters, not memories. I saw space, not you. I didn't rush to comfort her. Sometimes we need to sit in the discomfort of what we've done to truly change. I've been doing that to myself for years too, she added, surprising me, shrinking, pushing my feelings to the side, because there's always something more urgent. The kids, the bills, work. I guess I just passed that same treatment on to you. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. Tears spilled down her cheeks again, hot and heavy. I reached for her hand and squeezed it. I believe you, I said. And I appreciate your apology, but, Sarah, she looked at me. Sorry cannot be the end, I said. It has to be the beginning of doing things differently. She nodded quickly. I know, she said. That's why I wanted to talk to you. I have an idea, and I want to hear what you think, as an equal. not as someone who just has to accept what I propose. Something in my chest relaxed a little. "All right," I said. "I'm listening." She took a deep breath. "What if," she began slowly, "we don't turn your room into storage, but we do rearrange the house in a way that gives you even more privacy and also solves some of our space problems?" I frowned. "How?" I asked. She wiped her nose with the back of her hand, a gesture she had as a child. "You know the little room downstairs," she said, "the one next to the laundry?" I stiffened, but she raised a hand quickly. "Let me finish," she pleaded. "Just hear me out." I nodded reluctantly. "Okay," I said. "What if," she continued, "we turn that entire downstairs into a small apartment for you? Not just a corner with a bed, a proper little suite. We can move the laundry to the garage, put up a partition, add a door that leads directly to the garden. Your own entrance, your own mini living space, with a small sitting area and a TV, even a little kitchenette if we can afford it. You would have your privacy, your independence, and we would still be in the same house." I stared at her. It wasn't what I'd expected. "And this room?" I asked, glancing around. She bit her lip. "We would turn it into a shared family space," she said carefully. "A guest room for when people visit, a place where the kids can study or play quietly, not storage, not boxes piled to the ceiling, a real cozy room that still holds your photos and your things. A room that carries your essence, not your absence." I considered that. "Why not keep this as my bedroom?" I asked. "Because," she broke off, then started again, choosing her words carefully. "Because I realized something, Mom. Part of why it hurt you so much that I wanted to turn this room into storage is that it felt like I was compressing your whole life into a pile of things. I don't want your presence in this house to be confined to one room anymore. I want it to be integrated, a place where the kids sit on your bed and you tell them stories, where your photos are on the wall and they see them every day, not just behind a closed door." I listened, my heart torn between old hurt and new hope. "And the downstairs?" I asked. "That would be yours," she said. "Your little kingdom, your quiet place, with your own schedule, your own chair, your own window to look out of in the mornings. We could even build a small porch outside your door with a swing. You always said you wanted a swing." My eyes filled with tears I hadn't expected. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't my riverland or a tiny house of my own. But it was something important. An effort. A visible, tangible effort to say, "We see you. You matter. Your comfort matters." "Who came up with this?" I asked softly. She smiled through her tears. "Carlos started it," she admitted. "He said, 'Your mum deserves better than a corner by the washing machine.' Then we both started thinking, and then I called an architect friend and asked if it was feasible. She said yes. It will cost some money, but she's willing to help us plan it in stages." I took a deep breath. "And where do I come into this plan?" I asked. In every step, she said. We won't move a single piece of your furniture without your permission. We won't put a single box in any room that has your things in it without asking. We'll show you the plans. You'll approve them. If you don't like something, we'll change it. If at any point you feel like this is another version of us rearranging you, we stop. Completely. I swallowed. And if I say no, I asked quietly. If I decide I'd rather explore living somewhere else, would you respect that? Her face crumpled. It would break my heart, she whispered, but I would have to, because I'm learning that loving you means respecting your choices, not just your sacrifices. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. There's one more part, she said. Something Carlos suggested. He said we had to put some things in writing, not because we're strangers, but because sometimes families use love as an excuse to blur boundaries. I opened the paper. It was a simple, handwritten agreement, nothing legal, just symbolic. It stated that as long as I lived in their home, I had the right to my own private space, which could not be changed, repurposed, or entered without my consent. Any major decision affecting my living arrangements would be discussed with me as an equal. My contributions, practical and emotional, would be acknowledged and appreciated, not taken for granted. If I ever felt disrespected or minimized, I had the right to voice it and be heard. I read it once, then again. Tears dropped onto the page, blurring a few words. Mom, Sarah whispered, her voice breaking, I don't want you to feel like storage ever again. I want you to feel like what you are, the foundation of this family, not something we push aside when we want more space. I looked up at her, my vision swimming. This was my turning point. Not the moment she asked for my room, the moment she truly saw me. We spent the next week planning, talking, measuring. For the first time since I'd moved in, I felt like I wasn't just fitting into their house. I was co-creating our home. The little downstairs area transformed slowly. First we cleared out the clutter, old boxes, unused gym equipment, a broken lamp they had always meant to fix. Each item they carried out was a silent reversal of what they had once wanted to do with my room. Sophia helped me choose paint colors. Something warm, she said, so your stories feel cozy. We chose a soft, creamy color for the walls and a pale blue accent for the door. My grandson, Diego, insisted on assembling the small bookshelf himself. This is for all your books, Grandma, he said proudly, so you can have a library. The laundry machines were moved to a corner of the garage. Carlos grumbled at the work, but never complained about the reason. We're making space for the Queen, he joked, bowing dramatically. We must do it properly. Upstairs, my old room changed too, but not into storage. We rearranged the furniture so the bed faced the window, leaving more floor space. We added a cozy armchair in the corner and a soft rug. The kids helped me hang some of my favorite photos at their eye level. This is where you'll tell us stories, Sophia declared. Not about Cinderella, about you. We renamed the room Grandma's Salon, half joking, half serious. It became the place where everyone came to talk, to read, to cuddle, a space that held my past and their present together. As for me, each night I went downstairs to my new little suite. It wasn't finished all at once. The kitchenette came later, the porch even later, but even in its simplest form, a bed, a small table, a chair by the window, it felt right. It felt like a compromise that didn't cost me myself. It felt like respect, yeah. But the most important change wasn't in the walls. It was in the way we spoke to each other. One evening, a few weeks after moving into my downstairs space, I heard Sarah knocking on my door. "Mom," she called. "Can I come in?" The two extra words, "can I," were more beautiful than any paint color in the world. "Yes," I said, smiling. "Come in." She stepped inside, holding 2 cups of tea. "I made your favorite," she said. "Chamomile with honey." She handed me a cup and sat on the chair, looking around. "It feels different down here," she said. "Like peaceful." "It does," I agreed. "It's nice to have a place where I can be Grandma when I want, and just Elena when I need." She nodded, then looked at me with a seriousness that made me straighten up. "I wanted to ask you something," she said, "and I promise this is not about moving you again or anything like that." I chuckled. "All right," I said. "What is it?" She took a breath. "Would you help me learn to make plans like you did?" she asked quietly. "The way you handled all of this, the way you didn't explode, but you also didn't let yourself be pushed. I don't know how to do that. I either swallow everything or I blow up. You did something different." Her eyes shone with a mix of admiration and vulnerability. I felt a warmth spread through my chest. "Of course," I said. "We can start with something simple." "Like what?" she asked. "Like writing our needs down," I said. "Answering questions honestly. What do I need to feel respected? What do I need to feel safe? What is non-negotiable for me? Then we share those with each other. Not in the middle of an argument, but like this, over tea, her shoulders relaxed." "I'd like that," she said. Maybe I could teach Sophia that too, so she doesn't grow up thinking she has to shrink or scream to be heard." I smiled. "And maybe," I added, "you could help me learn some things too, like how to use that app you're always on, the one with the little pictures." She burst out laughing. "You mean Instagram," she said. "Yes," I replied. "Maybe I'll start an account. Stories from Grandma's Salon." She laughed even harder. "You would go viral," she said. "You have no idea how many women would listen to you, Mom." I looked at her, touched. "You know," I said softly, "for a moment there when you asked for my room, I thought, that you didn't see me as someone who had anything left to offer, just an extra body in the house. Her face fell. I'm so sorry, she whispered again. I know you are, I said, but now, when you say something like that, I believe you mean it, not because you've said sorry enough times, because you've changed how you act. She nodded, eyes shining. I love you, Mom, she said, not for what you do, for who you are, even when you make things complicated. I chuckled. Oh, I'll definitely keep making things complicated, I said. That's my new hobby. We both laughed then, the kind of laughter that fills a room and pushes the shadows into the corners. Months passed. The downstairs suite slowly became more and more me, a small bookshelf filled with my favourite novels, a knitted blanket my late husband's mother had made, a plant by the window that I talked to in the mornings. The land by the river was still there, still waiting. Sometimes I'd take the kids, and we'd go have a picnic. Someday, I'd tell them, maybe we'll build a little cabin here, a place where you can come when you need quiet. Will you live there? Diego asked once. Maybe, I said. Maybe I'll divide my time, a little here, a little by the river. Life doesn't have to be just one thing. That became a kind of quiet mantra for me. Life doesn't have to be just one thing. I was not just a widow, not just a mother, not just a grandmother, not just storage. I was a woman who still had chapters to write. One evening, as the sun set and painted the garden gold, I sat on the small porch outside my door and watched Sarah hanging laundry on the line. She looked up and smiled at me. Do you remember, I called out, the day you tried to take my room? Her cheeks flushed. Don't remind me, she groaned. I still feel terrible about that. I shook my head. I'm glad it happened, I said. She frowned. What? Why? Because, I replied, that was the day we both realized something important. You realized I'm not an object to move around when you need space, and I realized that if I don't defend my space, inside and out, no one else will. It was the day you tried to take my room, but you didn't know my plan. She grinned. And what was your plan exactly? She asked. I smiled back. To stop living like a guest in my own life, I said, to remind you and myself that I am not here by accident, that I still choose every day to be part of this family, and that if I'm staying, it will be with my head high, not my boxes labelled old stuff. She nodded slowly. Thank you for having that plan, she said, even if it scared me. Sometimes, I said, the things that scare our children are the same things that save them. Learning to see their parents as full human beings is one of those things. She hung the last shirt and came to sit beside me on the porch. You know what's funny? She said. What? I asked. Ever since we made your downstairs suite and turned your old room into Grandma's salon, the house feels bigger, she said. Not physically, just emotionally. I nodded. That's what happens when everyone in a house is allowed to take up their full space, I said. There's less clutter, less resentment, more room to breathe. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Will you tell me a story?" she asked suddenly, in the exact same tone she used as a little girl. I laughed softly. "What kind of story?" I asked. "Any," she said. "About you, about something you felt, something you never told me before." I thought for a moment. Then I began to speak. As the words flowed, as the night deepened and the crickets began their choir, I realized something. This right here was my real plan all along. Not just to keep my room, not just to secure a suite or a porch or a written agreement. My real plan was to be seen, to be heard, to be a living story in this house, not a relic in a box. And as Sarah listened, as she laughed, as she cried, as she asked questions, I knew I had succeeded. If you're listening to this, and you're a woman who has ever been made to feel like you take up too much space, or not enough, if you've ever felt like your children see you as extra instead of essential, if you've ever been quietly moved aside so someone else could put their boxes where your heart used to rest, I want you to remember this. You are not storage. You are not an attic. You are not a closet. You are not a box labeled old things. You are the foundation. You are the walls that held all the laughter and all the crying. You are the first room they ever knew. It's okay to make a plan. It's okay to say no. It's okay to consider leaving if your dignity is the price of staying. And sometimes, when you finally stand up for your space, you don't lose your family. You help them grow up. If this story touched your heart even a little, I'd be honored if you stayed with me for more. There are so many stories still to tell about women like you, whose lives are full of quiet revolutions. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with another woman who might need to hear it tonight. And remember, you are not better used as storage. You are irreplaceable.